Okay, it's 7:01. I'll call the meeting to order for Monday, March 25th, 2024. Review agenda for additional removal or adjustment of any items per 1 VSA 312.
Eric is here tonight and he has information about quotes for pickup brooms that had been discussed previously. And so if the select board is inclined, we can add that as an agenda item.
Okay.
Do you have to go out and clean roads tonight or anything?
I don't, but I gotta make sure nobody's on Main Street.
Can we put them up early so that we don't have to have them
Oh,
sit
yeah,
around too long?
absolutely. Yeah.
Like
Why don't we put
1A.
it 3A or 2A?
I said 1A.
1A.
Okay, 1A works for me too. Highway. Okay, any other thing to add?
Not that I'm aware of.
Alrighty, overview of the Zoom meeting operations and procedures. We're all hats at this now, been going on 4 years. Rule for participation, mute your microphone, recognized by the chair, and etc. Okay. Don't need hot mics. That's going to be the going thing going on now. Public forum, 5 minutes per person for any item that's not on the agenda. Anything?
I think Sally's raising her hand.
Sally, go ahead.
Nope, you muted.
She's muted, hold on.
She's on meeting. Working on it.
All right,
Go ahead, Sally.
thanks. This is just an invitation to a Bristol Energy Committee meeting. The next meeting, which is April 17th, we're going to have an introduction to thermal energy networks. And we'd love to invite any town leaders and any interested public to come to that meeting and learn a little bit about this thermal energy networks kind of thing, and specifically looking at some of the possibilities in Bristol and getting input from people. Debbie New will present and Jared Rodriguez will be there to address technical aspects. There's, let's see, yeah, that's, I mean, I could talk more, but I know it's not time to talk more. So I just wanted to let everyone know it would be great if people who know more about some buildings and this and that were there to just add their input, and things like pipes in the road and when the road's going to be open for that kind of thing. That would be great to have VTUMs there if you're interested. We'd love to have you. And any select board or planning commission people, design review, you know, I just think that more people who know what's going on, the better, to come to this meeting where we can all start by getting a good introduction and have some question and answers about it. And then the Bristol Energy Committee can go forth and do stuff. But we just want to make sure we're on target with what Bristol leaders think is a good idea. That's the idea.
Could you repeat the date of when that is?
April 17th, right?
Yeah, it's a Wednesday, April 17th at 7 o'clock. And it'll be, I expect, hybrid.
Super, thanks, Sally.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Sally.
thank you.
Okay, any other public forum out there? Seeing none. Department head roundtable. Let's, Eric, you're here first. We'll go with you.
It snowed.
It's snow. We did get a little bit of snowstorm, did we, Eric?
Yeah, so we went through it pretty well. Just a couple of issues we had to repair today. Got one to repair tomorrow. Then we're going to be pushing the banks back, get the edge of the shoulders off, melt it off, so any rain that we get can get off the road instead of running down the snow banks. Yeah.
Is Main Street being cleared tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anything else? Chris, you want
No.
from a zoning update?
There, things are starting to pick up. It's not super busy yet. We lost all of our candidates for my job. Hoping we can re-advertise it and find somebody else. From the clerk side, Sharon wanted to let people know, reminder, the taxes are due April 15. And that April 16 is the revote on the school budget.
And dog licenses are due when? Dog
First.
registration,
April
April
1.
first?
And can, people get, mail-in ballots or ballots for the vote, or they gotta come in person?
Absentee.
Absentee,
It's-
yeah, sorry.
It's still up, because we don't have them yet, so we don't, it's still up in the air if that's gonna make it in time. So it's the school district's call.
Are we tying in the voting for the,
No,
okay,
not enough time.
Check out the zoning?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
okay. I know that we talked about that potentially, but I didn't know where it was.
No,
I hadn't heard anything, so I
Voting
assumed.
for August.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the date again for that revote?
16th of August, I mean, April. You said August, April 16th.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Chris.
Mhm.
Oh, let's pick, Bruce, I saw you on there. Okay, Bruce, you on?
Oh, there it is.
There he is.
Sorry for the delay.
It's all right.
So with the sun coming out a little more often and the temperatures warming up, the speeds seem to be going up. So we are working on some Governor Highway Safety funded patrols to remind motorists that to please drive cautiously and carefully through the village and the rest of the town. And I want to thank Eric and his crew for setting up our speed sign. They moved the one from North Street to South Street and put the new one up on North Street. So the three heavier traveled areas or entrances have all new signs.
I wondered, I see it moved up there.
Yeah.
By Pine Tree Gardens, and I almost called you and said, I think somebody stole the sign.
Yeah,
And then
well, the newest signs we can record and document speeds and averages better than the old one.
That's great. Yeah, and I noticed
Right.
the one on South Street.
Yes,
I was,
I did saw
I was
that
gonna
this
ask
morning.
about that tonight, but now I know. That's great.
Yeah, so all four coming into town, excuse me. North,
Yes.
south,
Yeah.
east and west all have a sign. That's great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All righty, Meredith, why don't you go? Go
Yeah,
next.
so for Bristol Recreations Department, we're going to April, so we'll be offering community swim during the vacation break, and we have Bristol Youth Sports lacrosse signups right now, so that's really happening for our department. And yeah, just getting ready for spring and getting the fields and the pump track and the skate park set, and we are getting our bike library back up and running. So pretty exciting. Sorry, I have my cat and my dog fighting in the background, if you can hear that. Sorry about that.
You have your bikes up and rolling, you mean?
Oh,
But yeah, bike
They don't
season is right around the
roll.
bend.
Yeah. Okay, anything else?
No, just really just excited and having a great time at my job.
All right, great. Taylor, why don't you slip right in there? We've talked a little bit.
Hi, so the hub's been going well. We've been busy. It's March now. February was the busiest we've had on month. Kids have been doing really well. Today we spent the day with a team making paper from other recycling we had around, so that was cool. And we're just getting excited about like new projects coming off. We have a couple of different grants that are out that we're working on actualizing. We have a participatory budgeting grant that's working with that you guys approved a couple weeks ago, that's working with the Vermont After School. And so they gave us a pot of money, one, to pay kids to come to meetings, and two, for us to work with the kids and the youth community to grant out. Like, so we're asking for grants in the community, and then we will fund things using this pot of money, and the team to like decide on what to vote on and like what to fund. So it's kind of like a meta grant inception. And that's really cool. And then we also have a finally the health department grant that we received back in we got word of back in December. And it was supposed to start January 1st. It's for $15,000. It's fine. There's finally some movement, and that's going to be a cool one where we're going to be doing some partnerships like We Fit to sponsor some memberships for teens and buy a new printer and like buy.
You bring your break up a little bit, Taylor.
Yeah, we're not hearing you.
Yeah, I hear you, Taylor. You're breaking up.
We've lost you.
You can't hear us.
All right.
Okay,
Moving
all
on.
righty. Brett, you're up next. You're on.
Good evening. Just two updates. The repairs to the fire station from the high wind event, those were all completed, so the work looks great. And also, I'm sure some of you are already aware, but I was informed by Chris Purley, who is the working group leader for our Conex box training structure. He informed me just last week that we received our Act 250 permit, so all permits are in place for the training structure. And Chris will be pulling the working group together in the near future to discuss next steps. So otherwise, I just, if you all have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Brett. Anybody questions for Brett? Yeah. Don't be on a hot mic, Taylor.
Before we get off department heads roundtable, might be worth, while Eric is still here, an update on the Firehouse Drive streetlights.
It worked.
They work now. And and if you could give a quick summary of how that happened. and
One
what
of
you
those
guys
lights
did to make
Does
it
not
work.
work.
Yeah, the one, yeah.
So close.
It worked, Brett, when we got all done, tied them all together. It worked during the day, but then that night when I came in the morning to check roads, it wasn't working, but the other ones are.
2
So,
or 3 are working.
yes, and then, so anyways, to get back to it. So originally there was supposed to be a blind box there to tie into the other warehouse. Well, there is no box, nothing. So the wires were all the way up to the second pole within about 12 feet in the conduit, already there. Somebody ripped through the conduit, broke it, cut the wires off, put a new piece of conduit on, and then buried it back and done with it.
What did they dig across the road for?
Beats the heck out of me, but that's what we found.
Was it a water line being replaced or what?
It was on the backside of the sidewalk, so I honestly don't know. But anyways, we found it. Matt put a box there, wired them together. And they were all working that morning when he tied them all in. I looked at them all, they were all on. And then that next morning when I checked roads, that one that we tied together wasn't working. So I had Matt check it, and it's either the bulb itself is gone or the sensor is gone.
Okay.
He's got plenty of power coming up and coming down the pole.
Is it in the middle of the three? Where is at the end?
It's the last light at the end of the apartments.
Just before all earth renewables.
Yeah, so you got, the first two are working, the third one's not working, and then the fourth one's working.
Okay.
So anyway, that's been a long project
Yeah,
to
seriously.
figure out
Yeah,
through the winter and a lot of site visits.
tracing
Yeah,
and digging and.
yep.
So-
Hear complaints from the apartment
Right.
dwellers with the lights.
Curious about that. So is Matt's just gonna look and see if it's the bulb or if it's a sensor? What's the,
He wants me to let him know what you guys wanna do, cause.
Want the bulb to work, want the light to work. I think. that would be consensus.
Basically, he's asking, how much money do you want us to put into it? Why not bill the people that originally put them in?
I think that's a thing we gotta chase down.
Right,
Who did the,
and I don't have a clue. I don't know who did the wiring, I don't have
That was all part of,
It's all Don Weston that was the contract.
yeah.
So,
do we reach out to him or do we just fix this
We
ourselves?
did initially
Oh, okay.
with zero response.
which side of the sidewalk? The sidewalk to the east of the road or the west of the road?
To
the
the
sidewalk on the
East.
other side, at the apartment side,
So that,
That's the
I
east
think
side.
we'd reach out now and bring.
they didn't put the lights in, did they?
They dug, somebody
Somebody went through.
The town didn't do any excavating east of that sidewalk.
No.
For the, all
The
the
town
community
is, to
departments.
me, the town's not responsible.
For
Somebody
any-
else is responsible
someone-
for this.
Well, well, for now, because they are the town's lights, I mean, we are responsible.
No, I understand that, but
Yes.
ultimately, this shouldn't be on our dime
It
and on our
shouldn't.
taxpayer
It
dime.
shouldn't, but we might not have, we're taking care of
Future
it now.
discussion.
Yeah, we're taking care of
So
it
if you
now.
guys want, I can reach back out to Matt again and tell him that you guys want the light to fix whatever the case may be.
Well,
We won't have
not
three of them.
unlimited funds,
You know,
but give us a kind of a rough idea of what it's
One
gonna
of
If
be.
you got electricity to the pole,
Yes.
then it's gotta be,
There's power going up, power coming down.
Okay,
it's gotta be a
so it's the
bulb.
bulb or
So
the.
it's
bulb
either
or
the
the
bulb
sensor.
Socket.
or the sensor on the top,
Yeah,
the dusk sensor,
yeah.
one of them.
How expensive can that be?
For one of them bulbs and that dusk, you're probably talking with his labor, $500-600 by the time you get done,
Okay,
would be my
Get it
guess.
done.
but then we'll be done with it.
Well, hopefully.
Well, that's the plan.
Yeah,
Today.
Yeah.
I would, yeah,
Well,
I would say,
I guess what I would do, but don't wanna step on anybody's toes, for God's sakes. I take one of the bulbs that's working, try it over there. If it works, say, it's the bulb, not the sensor.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. And then I take the bulb you take out, put it down where the socket that works, and put it in that and say, it works down there, so it's not the bulb, it must be the sensor. That's what I would do. For an order a bulb and a sensor, I would go and take a bulb out.
Yeah, depends how long that process is. and what
I was
mass
just
labor
gonna say,
rate is.
Bert.
How long do you think it's gonna take, climb a ladder and
Well,
unscrew a
no, what I'm
bulb?
saying is, he'd have to come, do that, and then if it's the bulb, he's gotta order the
Okay.
bulb.
I do facilities
I mean,
every day, people.
I know.
This is what I would do.
I agree, that's
Well,
just,
that's
that's
what
just,
I would
that's
do.
just.
Said I'd order a
that's-
bulb and a sensor, I would just unscrew it over there.
Right,
We're
depends,
talking an hour,
depends how complicated it is, but you're right, that's simple troubleshooting that.
troubleshoot it.
You'd think you'd be able to do, or someone could do.
Be like a
And
mechanic,
you could-
some
you could
mechanics just
probably
start
test
throwing
the
parts
wires
out.
without having to pull anything.
Right. Yeah, or you could also.
Well, you
I
said
mean,
that's
he-
power up, power down. you
He,
just
Matt
press
should
the
be able
button.
to know, figure it
Yeah,
out,
but he should be able to check the sensors, whether the sensor's working or not.
right,
But anyways, I will tell him to get it, to do it,
yes,
give me a price if it's over, what, I'll come up with something.
how about 500?
Sure. And, I'll tell him to
Just gonna
switch
say
bulbs
1,000.
around just to check it and see.
That's great, we're so close, it's almost there.
Good.
Yeah, and then we'll wait to hear if anyone complains, but it's far too bright out
Far
there
too
now.
bright, yeah.
Okay. All right, oh. Now we have.
Fire department.
Fire department, regular business, Bristol Fire Department, Fire Chief Brett LaRose and firefighter candidate Eric McDonald. Eric and Brett, you up? Are both on Zoom?
Yes, thank you. Eric is on,
Hello.
there he is. So, we apologize, but when we were scheduling, so Eric is away this week, down in Bennington for a week-long supervisor's training for his full-time job, which is with Bristol Rescue Squad. So, but fortunately with technology, he was able to join us because we didn't want to put this off any longer. Eric, he met with the officers of the fire department. He had his interview, which included the town administrator. And we have checked all of the boxes off. And this evening we are here, one, to allow you all to ask any questions you may have of Eric, and then proceed with an appointment if you see that is fit.
Eric, your full-time job is with Bristol Rescue?
Yeah, I'm the third full-time employee with Bristol Rescue. I just moved into town about 5 months ago, so I have an apartment on South 116. But yeah, I'm the transfer coordinator and third supervisor.
Good for you.
Good, okay. Any questions for Eric? I know Eric from Bristol Rescue, I see him up there when I'm mowing or plowing. Woke him up, I think, Saturday night, didn't I, Eric? 8:45, 9 o'clock?
His life is gonna be training.
Yeah. So, okay,
I make a motion to approve firefighter candidate Eric McDonald for the.
Second.
there's a motion, a second, any other comments for Eric? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Pose, stay. Okay, welcome aboard, Eric.
Welcome
Great.
aboard, Eric.
You're not here to sign the book, so Brett will have to do that a ceremonial time at a different time.
Yep, we'll do that at a later date. But
Okay.
thank you all.
Welcome
Yeah.
aboard.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you, Brett.
Thank you all.
Okay. Now, 1A, Public Works Pickup Broom. Eric, got some pricing. You know, this was a broom to go on the new loader, so we don't have to hire the streets to be swept. They can do it, so go ahead, floor is yours.
All right, so I got prices from.
Get your butt up here.
Yeah, right here. Right here.
Look, we've got a lot of people on Zoom. I want to know about this
Right.
broom.
They want to see your beautiful face.
No, okay. So I got three prices from Nortrack, Sierra Woods, and G Stones for Doosan.
Yeah.
Each one, the Volvo one, he is not quite the same size as these two. This is the closest one that he could get to without going over what I spec.
Bigger or?
This is a
small?
little bit smaller.
What, in inches or?
Yeah, these are 9s and this is 8.2.
Okay, 10 inches difference.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, Valerie's bringing it
Yeah,
up.
she's got them up on the screen, or scanned them in.
So that, yeah, they're not in any particular order, so there's.
So that's Nortrax, and that's Sierra Woods.
Have you looked at all three? What's the quality of them, or did any reference or no?
No, pretty much, most pickup brooms are all about the same, as far as structure wise and stuff like that.
And the broom, so the public knows, is usually it's a service that we hire, contract someone to come and clean the roads different times of the year. This would allow the department to clean internally as opposed to contracting.
Right, and it would allow us to do more than just one time a year.
Right.
We could go back to doing it before the 4th of July like we used to. Couldn't do it for the last few years just because of money reasons, budgeting wise.
And availability of the sweeper probably, you know, or not?
Yeah,
What did we usually spend a year on sweeping there?
$7 grand, wasn't it?
well, no, last year was 55,
Okay, 500.
and this year was gonna be 7,500.
Oh, that's right, because it was going up.
You're looking at 4 years,
Yeah.
the machine to be paid for.
Well, 4 sweepings, basically.
4 sweepings, 4 sweepings, correct.
What's the gutter attachment?
What is that?
That's off to the right, to the passenger side of the vehicle, and that runs along the curbing to bring all the debris in from the curbing. Brings it into the center of the broom, and then the broom sweeps it up into a hopper. And then you take then that, once that gets full, holds about a yard. You take that and you dump it into the back of the truck.
And can you use the smaller one still, or is the smaller one not really meeting your needs? You said one of them was.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
So the smaller one is,
In the middle of the price anyway, correct? Looks to be.
yeah, so this is the one I'm gonna present to do, which is this much for the bigger one and this much for the smaller one.
Yeah, we want the bigger one.
Hold on a second.
So I have a question here, on the
Yeah.
brooms, you know, I know we had a lot of people complain about dust. when they
So
do them.
these-
How does this work?
You can buy, and this one comes with a water setup, right? Yep. And this one. let's
I thought I
see,
saw an extra for water.
Currently time, that's for the gutter broom attachment. These two here doesn't say if it's got a water attachment on them. I mean, all of them can be fitted with water. I just don't know if the price includes the
We
water.
know CRW does.
Does.
That's
I
also the
think,
smaller broom.
yeah, I think the Nortrack one does. It's just not in the email part. I'd have to check with the salesman to verify that for sure.
I would check that, I
yeah,
would check that for sure.
Yeah, well, if it gets, I've seen when Clark used to do them, they'd reach right out the window and they keep spraying down long farther.
Yeah,
think we
and I've
Have
talked.
that
to-
option.
Yeah, I've talked to Regen's Jimmy. And the amount of water that you carry on there versus what you're gonna get out of it isn't really worth it. And it doesn't keep the dust down. You're best off to do it either at night or during like a mist type thing to do it, cause
Yeah,
I
like
just
you
don't-
can like Guess when that's gonna happen?
No, that's just it.
The complaints that we received last time were for this sidewalk sweeping, not necessarily
Yes.
The road
the road
sweeping,
sweeping.
right.
I don't
We've got a
remember
lot of
complaints
sidewalk.
for road sweeping, but definitely for sidewalk. But this isn't for sidewalks, this is roads only.
You're right, this is road.
Okay.
So,
And for our sidewalk sweeping, we contract with a different company than who does the roads, correct? Because it's a smaller,
right.
okay,
And that one, before this last storm, I was contemplating on not even having the sidewalk swept this year. There wasn't,
right.
I think we might have sanded maybe twice, three times the tops.
Yeah.
And we've added a lot more salt in this time than we did in the
Okay.
previous year, so it's not even as much
Yeah.
sand.
That's just gonna,
So I was contemplating that, so I'm gonna wait for a couple rainstorms.
yeah.
To go through and then look at the sidewalks after
Yeah.
that, and then, decide whether or not I wanna do it or not.
In terms of storage and things like that, you have space for this? Is this stored inside or outside?
I would try to make room to put it on the inside,
Okay,
probably
Just
down
to
in the
keep it-
addition at some
keep it in
point,
good
yeah.
condition.
Do we want Eric to, at least get back with United Ag, the low price, and see what a wash,
Just,
have the option.
If they don't think it's that gonna be worth it, I mean, I'm not.
well, that's just what I've heard from one person.
I would like it, I think we
So-
should at least have the option was, you don't have to buy it this year, but if we get some, it will go on. I don't wanna spend 25,000 and say, oh, that option doesn't come with that. That broom
Oh,
doesn't come.
I can do that, that's easy enough.
Make a phone call, said, oh yeah, you could
Yeah.
add that at any time.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Just because we have that option, you never know.
You might
Yeah.
say, boy, it was dusty the last couple of years. Let's put a broom. Let's
That's
put a
easy enough to
broom
do, and I'm 99% sure that, any one of these brooms can have that attachment
Okay.
on them, so, but I will verify.
Is there need to come back with that information to us, or do we want to?
Well, I think if it pushes that United Ag well over this one, let's say, these two, this is the highest and it's $4,000 more than this one. And this one's $4,000 less. If it comes back over,
Right.
and this one is actually, it is 10 inches shorter, but it's the cheapest model with the water. This one comes with water and those two don't.
Right, that's true.
I think,
Does it matter in terms of the size, if it's that much smaller?
No, it doesn't matter, I was just trying to get something that would hold, you wouldn't have to dump as often.
Okay.
You could keep going and keep going and keep
Yeah.
going. You might be able to do like maybe, say 3 streets at once before you gotta dump versus maybe doing 1.5.
I see.
But I guess that technically wouldn't really be an issue, because you're gonna have the truck with it anyways,
Yeah.
so.
this
I
one
guess it
is
wouldn't
just
make a
narrower. It
difference.
still hold the same amount of sand,
No, this one actually hold a little less,
a little less,
Okay.
a yard, half a yard.
probably a little bit less, 3/4 of a yard maybe.
Okay. I just like to
Yeah, I think
have that
so.
option. I wouldn't wanna
Because then
spend
we're
25
comparing
and
them
say,
equally in terms of.
Right.
this one can't take water and this one can.
Yeah.
Not that we're gonna buy it this year, maybe not for water, but
Yeah.
if we get a lot of complaints, it's dusty. And it all depends on as we know, the weather.
Right.
If it's really nice May and it's,
And it also depends
Warm
on
out.
how much sand we spread in the village as well, which
you haven't been much,
haven't been
except
much.
Liberty Street.
Well, Liberty Street.
It was an accident.
I guess you didn't see it around the light today, did you?
No.
I peppered the crap out of that this morning, that was all ice.
Yeah, so, what's your thoughts, people? Have you run this by the equipment committee? You don't think you need to?
I didn't, because originally when I brought the loader to you guys, it was already equipped with the pickup broom that they wanted. And
Okay,
at that time, the board decided that they didn't wanna spend the extra money for the broom. So they were already on board with the pickup broom at that
Okay.
time.
they've won't be blindsided then.
No, Peaker's good with it, Pete's good with it.
Okay,
So,
you've reached out to them.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your pleasure?
I'm fine with approving now, so Eric doesn't have to come back in 2 weeks. And I guess it would just be price dependent on, I guess.
If the one you're looking for has the water attachment available.
Yeah, and if I guess the price doesn't go beyond
This one,
that, perhaps, yeah,
okay.
that gives you something to work with.
And, this is 45 days. So once I
So we gotta get it ordered.
verify everything that you guys want, and if it's still below this, when I place, it's 45 days from place of order.
Okay.
So that'll put me into end of April, which would be right around
The time you're
sweeping
gonna-
time.
Yeah.
Okay,
First week of May for sure.
all right.
So,
Yeah, I make a motion.
I'll second.
There's motion is second to buy the pickup room.
North
State,
Can you say-
North Track,
Can you just say?
United Ag,
yeah, provided everything,
yeah, provided
Would you say
that
not
the
to
water
exceed the
attachment will come at a later
And not
date.
to exceed, what's our amount?
28.8,
28,800.
yep,
okay,
okay.
all right. There's a second, any more questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Eric, you're all
Super.
set.
All right.
Great, thank you, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Okay,
And is Eric free?
Yeah,
that's free.
Good.
You guys got any questions for me before I, like, roundtable stuff before I head out?
No.
Okay, good. Good. Be back in at 2:00.
Mike too, oh, to do the.
Well, Mike's coming in at 2 to move snow, and I wanna be here to make sure that there's no cars on Main Street. If there is, I can get a hold of Bruce to try to get them off, so.
That's your warning, everybody.
No, that's your warning, Bruce.
Yeah.
It is flashing.
It is,
Right.
I saw it this
Right.
morning.
Great, thank you, Eric.
Okay, okay, let's put our water commissioner's hat on. Jessica, we are also the water commissioner, so we suspend our select board meeting, go into water commissioners. Consider a water connection request by Adam and Amber Thomas for a new water line proposal for a 6-unit plan unit development. This is off from North Street.
Right, and if you recall, the last time they were here, the primary focus was whether they needed to connect the two areas with a looped water system, and at that time, it was agreed that they did not need to do that. But there was concern expressed at the time about the location of the water shutoffs in a location that was outside of the road right of way, the public right of way. And consequently, we have an updated plan, which I'll share. That includes meter pits at the rights of way. For public access to the project. So there's one on Pine Street over here, and then one over on North Street.
1 pit or 3 pits?
Two
Or
pits.
6?
Two pits.
One on
There's-
North and one on Pine.
So like-
And because this is in the early stages of the review process, and many other reviews are required, the Development Review Board, water and state water and sewer review, at this point, they are seeking preliminary approval so that they know what the water system at least needs to be before they go through the rest of the review procedures.
So this discussion or this, the new development, what we're seeing in these plans here, that's gone through our VTEMs.
Yes.
That was what we talked about last time, having those all
Right.
parties connected and,
They'll give you a thumbs up.
okay. Good.
So
And hopefully folks had a chance to glance at the draft letter that was posted online, which was the result of Steve's and Jill's review of the current plans. And the letter goes into a lot of detail about procedures and approvals from the water operator, a lot of coordination, and some other details in this preliminary approval letter.
So there's Adam or Amber, you can chime in here. So there's 2 water lines coming off from Pine Street and 2 coming off from North Street, correct?
Yes, correct. Yep.
And there's 6 units that are gonna be owned by individuals?
No, these are all rentals, except
These are gonna
for
be your
the,
rentals?
yep,
Okay,
except for the 1 3-bedroom single family off of Pine Street, North Meadow Lane, down on
okay,
top of Devonose Hill. It's
Right.
Amber and I's retirement home.
okay.
And the other one to the west of it, we're just designing that just in case our plans fall through. You know, we more than likely build it, but we might not build that second one on top of Devonose. We're just having it all in one, just in case we do plan on it, I guess.
Okay, my question is, so the duplex, or you guys are gonna own those?
Yes,
And so you're paying the water bill for both?
We're paying the water bill for both of them, yep,
Okay.
one bill.
And then if you build 3-bedroom, single families, how are you splitting that bill? Is it 2 water lines or just 1 water line down there? I see it split down at the bottom of the hill.
So that would be eventually 2 water lines, and we're the only owner of all this property, so you know, as of now, we would be paying for all the water usage.
Well, I guess I thought we have an unwritten policy that each resident gets their own shut off, so if you're living retirement and then you sell that house towards one or the other off of North Meadow Drive, and somebody doesn't pay their water bill, we go up on Pine Street, shut it off, both places are shut off. And that's not really been the policy.
Right. I mean, I can't tell what's gonna happen 50 years from now, but
I mean, I'm just going by the print. I realize that, Adam. I'm just going by the print.
We also have areas that are served with a meter pit and 1 meter that go to multiple residences.
Like the trailer park.
Yeah.
ATP is a great example.
Yeah. It definitely adds more complication to it, but I don't believe it's part of our policy to have, like you said, it was an unwritten one. I mean, we try to do that as best we can.
Well, this is what I want to have some document ready for our annual water meeting in June.
The problem is there's a juxtaposition between a curb being the end of the town's water line, water service, and an actual house, right? So if the water service is coming from a corporation on the main and the curb is to be located in the right of way of that public water main, there is an issue wherein a meter pit is appropriate to meet that standard. Otherwise, the town's service line is all of a sudden going to go hundreds and hundreds of feet into the middle of a field, way outside of the right of way, making the town's water department responsible for a giant chunk of water line that is a service line that is not a public distribution main, way into private property. So that is why the meter pit is being put in the public right of way, so it can be serviced by the water department and in the right of way of the town.
Correct. And all we basically want is just, you know, an approval for Jason, the concept of Jason's plan. And I believe he talked with you and the other gentleman. And did he discuss this with you, Jill, of what the plan is now?
You didn't do any kind of actual telephone call discussion. Everything has been like an email of, is this what you basically, so I just wrote an email explaining that basically the shut off is supposed to be in the public right of way of the actual distribution line. So he's met what we've asked for by way of making sure that it meets the needs for the water department and for the continued maintenance of that segment by the water department, and then everything after that by those public owners. I know what Joel is talking about is that what if one of the two doesn't pay their water bill? It is a water bill. The meter pit is a meter. So both essentially, each meter pit has a water bill, and it's up to the owners of those to figure out how to distribute that bill and how to pay that bill. So quite frankly, if one water bill comes from the meter pit and those two parties choose not to pay that bill, the best legal way of dealing with that would be to place a lien on the property, which obviously for the most part is not going to happen for 99.9% of all water users in all of our history. But there is that possibility of what would you do if a mobile home park that's connected with a meter pit didn't pay? What would you do if a set of duplexes didn't pay, etc.? There's got to be some way of dealing with that still allows the shut off in the right of way.
But Jill, the property that my brothers and sisters and I owned on North Street, and we sold it to the gentleman in Shelburne before the pandemic, he hasn't done anything yet. He was proposing 2 houses, and we told him then 2 lines, and then he decided to go with a duplex, and we said, well, then you've got to live in one or be charged for both the water, you've got to pay the water bill. This is a different scenario. It's 2, 3-bedroom homes.
It basically, they would have to run individual service lines from Pine Street all the way down that private road. And I don't think that that's what they wanted to do from a cost perspective. I guess it's up to you guys really of what you think is the best alternate.
Chris, what does Firehouse Apartments have?
They have a single line that leads to a meter pit, I believe.
But that's Adams County Community Trust handles that payment of that bill.
I mean,
And then
but still,
they
it's-
deal with
but
the
it's-
collection,
Sure,
but they deal with the
but it's
collecting.
exactly the same thing.
I mean, the only,
It doesn't matter. I don't think we can look about who's paying the bill. It's the same setup.
I mean,
for that
it's
kind
just-
of-
I think-
mobile home parks that we're doing, you do that friendly with your mobile home parks.
we also do that with the one over the hill.
Right.
Woodland Apartments.
Yeah,
Woodland Apartments.
Woodland Apartments. Woodland gets a single bill and they're responsible. They're on the hook for the entire
Yeah,
thing, so.
so, I mean, I understand what
Yeah.
you're saying, but I think our responsibility is to the meter pit.
I think we're,
Beyond that, it's up to Adam and whatever. If they have 2 houses on one single line, eventually that may be a title problem like down the road for whoever buys it, or they might have to figure it out then, but at this point, I don't think we can really dictate that piece. Cause it's beyond our right of way and they're responsible for that bill.
I get it, it's
And they
beyond
wanna
our right.
take responsibility.
What's that?
And they want to take responsibility.
Right.
Yeah, I get that. And I have an issue with every curb stop's gotta be in the right of way. We've opened that genie bottle years ago. I can give you 12 examples. We've got curb stops that are anywhere from 40 feet to 500 feet off the roadway.
Yeah, but we're trying to be
That's right.
more consistent about
Yeah.
it. What we did in the past is one thing. We're just trying to get it so that we're being consistent from here on.
Right, because with this, the previous discussion, they weren't in the right of way, and that was our big issue.
So
And so they'd come back to us.
Where we're all
and
dead
we-
and gone.
And
Sorry, Ian, sorry, I interrupt. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, so they'd come back to us with a plan, putting it in the right of way, which is what we wanted, right?
Mhm.
Right, no, I'm nothing against Amber and Adam or Aaron. It's just, we're all dead and gone, and these are 2 single-family homes, and one of them, I ain't paying the bill. I'm gonna get
Yeah.
water the rest of my life because,
No, that's
Let
not
the
gonna
next-
happen. That's not gonna happen, because it's gonna be the.
how do you
this-
deny somebody water the second owner? I pay my bill all the time.
Because we have written materials that say this is how the bill is paid.
I have a suggestion. Further in on the plan, where the water line kind of separates to serve the 2 different units, put a shut off there that is controllable by the main owner of the thing. And if the other people are not paying the bill, then the main owner can turn it off.
Right, they're not, my understanding, Adam, you guys are looking to do this as a PUD, not as a subdivision, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
So you're gonna own all the dirt, all the, other than
All
the
that dirt.
instructions.
Exactly.
I don't have a problem with that.
We will own all of it.
Where those 2 blue dots are,
Yeah.
if those were shut
But
off.
I think that's a great idea to put a
I don't have a
curb
problem with
stop.
that at all.
Okay.
But I would like to,
I want to hear what Adam said.
Yeah, go ahead, Adam,
What'd you
sorry.
say, Adam?
I think that idea of putting a shut off or curb stop right where those 2 dots are, that one that feeds that house on the, I guess, north side. I mean, that would be a great idea. And there you go.
Yeah, and
Would it make
if they
sense
don't
to
pay
have
the
2
bill, then you would have the authority
Well-
to turn their water on.
not only pay the
Exactly,
bill
right.
is, Adam, if you're living in one and you win the lottery and you said, you know what, we're gonna have a vacation home in Florida in the winter, and a lot of our people who go to Florida have their water shut off. You have an option to shut that water off one of those units.
Right.
But that's up to him.
Right.
Yeah, no, I get that,
That's a
but
good suggestion.
I would like to also, for the June meeting, have a policy to Valerie to work on that says any curb stop on the water district water system, whether your land is posted or not posted, trespassing or not, is for service, maintenance, or lack of payment is eligible to be shut off. Because like I said, the ones over in Larson's trailer park, what if somebody put down no trespassing and I don't pay my water bill? You can't trespass my land, shut it off. I want something in the policy by June's meeting that says, well, we can work on it in June. I don't want to go to the last page in the bottom of never get thing done list.
Sure, that's fine.
I'd like it to say,
I'm happy to have that discussion.
any curb stop, whether it's on private or public land, can be shut off by our water commissioner, water department contractors for maintenance, lack of service, or lack of payment.
Okay.
That's what I would like to
No,
see,
and I'm sure our water operators want the same thing, so.
you know.
The idea is to make it as easy as possible for the town to maintain this system in the best possible way. So if we need to have that discussion, I think that's fine.
And then my last question, and Jason, I was hoping he'd be on tonight, was no luck, hooking onto that 6-inch main that's on Francis Place?
No, because I guess it sounds like, well, Jill, you might be able to chime, but it sounds like that is out of the right of way
Right.
of the town. So that's why we were gonna do it there, but last meeting, we decided we had to move it to North Street because that was in the right of the public right of way.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head for me. I'm sorry.
If you want to change your mind, that would be great. But
I would love to change our mind.
we
here.
understand.
I don't think this board has ruled whether a 6-inch water main with a fire hydrant on the end is private.
It's private.
I don't believe so, Valerie.
There's
I've read the
agreement.
same letter
There's a
from
private
Tom.
agreement.
I've read the letter from Tom Buska that said he put it into the town specs.
He put it
Do we
in the town
want-
specs, but he
Wait a
didn't.
minute, Michelle. We don't know that yet. I haven't checked the village trustees minutes. Number one. Number two, I'm not sure we want private people to own fire hydrants. We pull into a development, and do we know whether it's working or not? 6-inch main, a fire hydrant blows up. There's 3 at Mount Abe, they're private then. There's one on Pump House Hill, they're private. There's one on the rec field. Is that private?
It's my understanding that B-Tunes does actually maintain that hydrant.
Right,
Yeah.
and now we're saying, well, no, you can't tap into that because we don't think we own it now.
Well, it's not that, I don't know that.
We don't own the land
that,
on
but
it,
We
but we
don't
have a
own
ri-
the land, we don't have.
I get
we
that
don't have a
part.
right of way on the road. That's not technically our road, that's a private road.
I get that, but we've got more hydrants than just that one that are on posted or not posted, private land that we're servicing.
Then that's a different discussion then.
I do, but
So let's bring that up. And I think going back to what we said before, so that's a question mark, whether that is private land, whether we own that, and that's a discussion.
not the
that-
land we don't own. I get
No,
that.
so we don't own the land, but in terms of the access. So that's the reason why we're not connecting to that.
Jill,
They've created the best situation on land that we know that we have access to for the meter bit.
but I think, well, Jill asked me, I'll ask you, or is Steve on? No.
Yeah, I mean,
Would,
Yeah, he is.
Steve,
I was gonna say, I just-
question for you, Steve, as the engineer for the town. Would that improve the quality of that line, that 6-inch main to that hydrant? If they tapped into that 300 feet or 200 feet off of North Street, more flow to that 6-inch, to those 6 units? Or 4 units, so it would be coming off North Street.
If it were just a water quality issue, of course,
You get more water to move, so
but I'm not sure that, I mean, from all the information I was able to gather from Valerie in the letters that I read, that line appeared to be private, and Valerie, correct me if I'm wrong, or if you read something different than I did. It appeared when that was done back in, I think it was the 80s, that was garnered a private water line. I don't know why they would have done that with a hydrant on the end of it, because Jill doesn't even have the ability to go down and flush that hydrant or exercise the hydrant, which I agree with everything you just said, Joel. That should be done every year.
I believe it has been
I'm
done.
told it was done.
Yeah.
done.
They have serviced it and flushed it.
Yeah.
But I don't think we can ask these property owners to add more complication. I know it's easier in terms of where the location is, but it adds a lot more complication because you're then putting a pit on land that we don't have the right to. I think that what they've come back with us is the right way forward. And I think the questions that you have, we need to ask those at another meeting and have a bigger discussion about that. Because as Steve said, it's like, it shouldn't be private, and we should figure out what's going on with that particular line and tidy up that mess that was created back in the 80s.
Right, well, I can give you a number of examples.
Sure.
Is the line from North Street to Meadow Lane across my parents' own property private?
Well, so let's save that for another time. I'm happy. I know that you want to discuss this. I'm happy to discuss it because I think it's good.
I think it would help Amber and Adam
but I
If
think
they-
we should do it.
if they didn't have to run 300 feet of 3 lines, 300 feet. And
I
tie into a
understand that,
site.
but we're also, but by doing what you're asking, we're creating a whole nother set of issues.
Correct.
And that was the reason we said,
Right. I feel that if someone else had agreed to that and then came to you in the next meeting or something, I think you'd be questioning, why are we putting a meter pit in an area that we don't own? I feel like it goes both ways. You're passionate about this and want to get things right, but I think putting the meter pit there at that connection does add a lot more complication to it. And I feel that it doesn't help the town with what they're trying to do with the water system.
I disagree with you. I think it does help the town because as Steve said, more water will flow down that 6-inch deadhead.
But we don't own any of that land and we don't have right of way. So if anything happens to that, even if we're putting it in, how do we get the permission to do that? If we don't own that land?
All right. So, all right, that's for another discussion.
Yeah, I want to have that
So
discussion. I think it's a good one to have.
What's your thoughts on this proposal? And Adam, Amber, I apologize if I thought I was attacking you guys. I'm just trying to get you shorter lines to put in and come off a 6-inch main that hardly gets used.
Right, thank you, Joel. I mean, I just wanted to go back also where Nakia Dees' residence is. I remember my father putting in that he used to live there, and for some reason, the town of Bristol, I believe, made him run that water line all the way up to North Street. He couldn't tap into that 6-inch hydrant either. I don't know why, but I think I kind of vaguely remember an issue with when he was putting in that water line as well. So, but yeah, I mean, if we can get this meter pit where it is now approved, I know it's going to make Jason's night.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll make a motion this is just preliminary approval until you
Yeah.
get all the rest of your permits, but I'll make a motion to approve the meter pits on North Street and Pine Street as, set up on the, plan by Bernard and Gervais.
With Valerie's suggestion, Michelle? Of
I
two
think
curb
that's
stops?
up to, that's
Yeah.
up to Adam.
Yeah, I don't think that
we
needs to be
can-
in the motion.
It doesn't or does?
I don't think so. Because that would be after the fact. I think it was a good suggestion. It sounds like Adam is interested in that too, so.
Gives him more control.
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any other comments or
And
questions?
it might turn out that, as they go through the review process further and have more conversation with the residents on Francis Place, that maybe they can come to some sort of agreement or something, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Then come up with an alternative, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions out there for us? I don't see the hands up. I can't with the map in the way, but,
I don't think so. Usually it would pop up.
okay. Okay, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of granting Adam and Amber Thomas the new water line proposal for 6-unit plan unit development, please say aye.
Preliminary.
Preliminary approval, sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
I oppose, abstain, okay.
Excellent. All right. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Amber.
And thanks,
Thank
Joe.
you.
Thanks,
Yes,
Steve.
thanks.
Jill. Number 3, a Milligan dog ordinance violation hearing. This is kind of a check-in every 2 weeks.
Well, not every 2
Well-
weeks, but this one.
We heard anything?
Yes, the word is that, there has been an improvement. I heard from the, neighbors today, I'm trying to find my email here, but anyway, they're satisfied for now with how it's going.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Things work out.
Yeah, I do. Great.
So the message is, we are grateful the barking has been minimal since our last select board meeting. However, in the past, when Mike had been notified that the issue had gotten better for months, it then returned. So they're not gonna get their hopes up, but they're satisfied with whatever measures Mike has currently taken to resolve the issue.
Great, great. Okay, consider a request to allocate ARPA funds to support the Bristol's Farmers Market.
And along with this, Taylor and the new farmer's market manager, Sarah, are both on tonight to explain the proposal in detail.
Go ahead, Taylor or Sarah. Sarah, you up? Go ahead.
I can start talking first and then I'll introduce Sarah. We're super excited. So, Sarah's on the call. We had her, we officially hired her last week for Bristol Core. She's going to be managing the farmers market. We're really excited. She currently manages the Shelburne market and is taking on the Bristol farmers market. She has elastic systems in place over at Shelburne that has and has worked really hard to create a market that focuses on uplifting local businesses and developing a local food system at the market, as well as making sure it's accessible to those in lower socioeconomic brackets. So we're really excited to have Sarah on. I think she's going to be fantastic. But so we wanted to circle back to the request that was tentatively approved of last year for the $10,000 a year from ARPA funds to support the Bristol Farmers Market. It was my understanding that there was some discussion and potential to pull that funds, but I'm advocating for us to for you all to approve the funding of this year, as we're working to create a sustainable market that really does focus on bringing food and increasing access to food on a local level. Having the funds is reliable, and we can have this new farmers market manager like really get the ball rolling and really develop the market. Like the first year was hard, we started late, and getting farmers in is challenging when they don't know it's a reliable market, they don't know it's existing, they can't plant their crops. So this year we are expecting more farmers, and as years go forward, we're expecting more farms to bring more food to the area. So our formal request is the $10,000 that was initially discussed for the farmers market. But I'll let Sarah talk more about the plans and what we'd like to do.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Sarah.
Great to meet you all. I'm just gonna pop over and grab my notes because I had my light wrong. But just one thing to know for context in general about, farmers markets and these programs that help close gaps in food security. The need has outpaced the funding across the board in every single, like food insecurity, when I say need, in every single state, every single county, especially here and everywhere. So it's my mission in both of in my business and in my market and my position at the Vermont Farmers Market Association. We advocate for programs that help food insecurity, in our communities. So let me grab my notes, and I have more specifics I can tell you real quick. Specifically, just a thing to really know is that the need has outpaced the funding across the board for all the programs. Food insecurity since COVID has gone way up, and the funding has not grown. So we need to find ways in our communities to close gaps, and I really believe that farmers markets are a great place to do that by, making sure that you are, like Taylor said, reliable for farmers. So that they know that this is a place that they can bring their produce and it's not wasted and they don't assume too much risk, and there's low barriers to entry for them all to begin as market sellers as well. Is there anything specific I could speak to, Taylor, that could help, or to the group that can help bring context to this?
So I don't know if Taylor might have the answer to this. Sarah, you probably don't, but do we know how many people actually attended the farmers market in the last year? And what's your plan for that? Like each year you want 10K you want 30K for 3 years. So what's your plan for using the 10K in each year?
I believe Ian has the budget for the farmers market and what's been used in previous.
So essentially it was half the budget
or what
goes towards the position, the farmers market manager. Another quarter of it is then for musicians face painter, and various things that are connected with running the market each year. But the majority, though, goes towards the market manager. We felt, you know, in order to host the market and to keep it going and make it thrive, you need an employed person to be able to do that. The idea is that using this money over the 3 years, it builds it up enough each year, and then with the income for vendors, and it gets to a point where it can become self-sustaining. And so what we know that the ARPA funds will go away after the 3 years, and we hope by that time it's set up to be self-sustaining.
How many different vendors did you have that were selling produce?
Last year?
Yes.
I don't know. At least
That
you
was
would-
one of the complaints I
Correct.
heard, that, is it
I
really
was a
farmer's
vendor.
market?
Pardon, I don't mean to interrupt. I was a vendor last year at the Bristol Farmers Market. I'm an herbalist. I do body care stuff, so I'm not a farmer. I was next to a farmer, Bristol Flats. And I believe that there was a total of 3 or 4, and then there was probably another honey seller or 2 and a meat seller or 2. So I would say like 5, 6, maximum 7. At Shelburne this year, I have 58 spaces, and this is my 3rd year managing it. 58 spaces, and 20 of them are full-time farmers this year because we are a reliable market. And many of them, if they know that they have an access point for selling their things, would come to our market because they know and they trust me, you know, as the market manager at Shelburne. They know that it's a safe choice for them, if that makes sense, to assume that risk.
Does Shelburne pay their farmers to come, or no, or just the magicians now?
We pay musicians, and we do a little bit of paying in tokens to some teenagers otherwise that help us pop up tents and, you know, set up and break down and put signs up. But other than that, Shelburne is pretty poorly funded, and I'm addressing that with the town manager this year. For the high function that it gives, you know, or provides for the community, for the high value it provides. I'm struggling as well.
Any questions from the board yet? Anybody yet? Jimmy, I've got a question from the public.
Can I ask why our taxpayer dollars are funding private enterprise? What's that all about? This is something, the town isn't making money on this, except for the rental of space in the park, I guess. Why should we be funding private enterprise?
They do pay.
I don't think that's fair.
Okay. Taylor or Meredith, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm on. So,
Do they pay a monthly, do they pay a fee every Monday night?
no, they do not. And that's something that later on that I'm going to present to select board about charging groups usage of the park, especially the water and electric. But at this time, no groups are charged the park. There's no park fee.
At Monday night, farmer's market, or
At the farmer's market
whatever.
or the Bristol band, like we don't charge folks on the town green.
Okay.
Right, or July 4th.
Or
I mean, it's the
Or
same
July
thing.
4th, yeah, or the Bristol Harvest Fest.
Okay, so, okay, because Jimmy's question was, does the town make any money on this for a fee? And we don't.
Not yet.
But
His question is why is the taxpayers supporting a private enterprise?
Right.
When the town doesn't benefit?
They're not, because it's not taxpayer money. It's ARPA funds, so it's not, it's not.
Well,
part of
it
it.
is taxpayers funds, but yes, I
But
know what you're
it's-
saying, yeah.
But it's
We could
technically,
go
it's
down
not,
that road.
it's not part of the budget of the town. But you could argue that with any of the 10 or 20 things that the ARPA committee came up with, why should those be supported? I mean,
This is a different situation. We have $10,000 for what? What is the town gaining from it? If we didn't have ARPA funds, would we still be laying out $10,000 for this situation? No.
no, because it wouldn't be part of the town's budget. But the use of this, it was recognized by the ARPA committee to have local food. And a way of doing that delivery is through a farmer's market.
Could I ask a question? Oh, wait, there are some community questions. Let them go first.
Okay, Porter, go ahead, and then Sally.
Actually, Sally's hand was up first. Sally. if you want
Okay,
to-
I had my back turned. Sally, you go first then. Thank you, Porter.
Okay. I just want to say, since I was a farmer's market manager there for years and was a vendor on the green for years, it is a fantastic, fun, nourishing, amazing thing to have a farmer's market on the green. I mean, I just think it's so worth having, and the music, and it's a really an amazing event, and it's free for anyone to come to enjoy and to get a meal and listen to music and connect with each other. It's just a very connecting event on the green, and I just think it's fantastic. And I loved having it back last year, and I would really love to see it continue and be really supported. I mean, in whatever ways can support it, because I think it's a fantastic event. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Sally. Porter.
Well, I agree. It was a terrific event, and I think a farmer's market or any type of market is great for economic development, bringing people to the community and, placemaking and community building in town. However, I just want to say again, and I know you on the board have heard me say this before, the ARPA committee's conversation about the farmer's market was very explicitly about trying to develop systems and infrastructure to support our local growers and to get local food into the hands of local people locally. And I feel like, last year was a little bit of a swing and a miss that way, because there really were very few actual local growers. We're talking food growers represented. And I'm interested, Sarah, in your, you started talking about food insecurity, and I'm not quite sure how that plays in. If we're just talking about farmers, self-sufficiency, or if you're talking about actual like food scarcity and access to food for needy families. Both of those things are things that, I think are really important and that I would like to see supported with the ARPA money. But my concern again is with systems and infrastructure. And my concern when the proposal was made last year for $10,000 times 3, that's a lot of money for our little ARPA funds. And it's not clear to me how that's going to result in systems or infrastructure development that's going to produce, real transformational change that's going to continue to get local farmers, local food into local people's mouths. So I'm not opposed to this, and I can't say I speak for the committee, but I just do want to share that that's where the committee was coming from, was about systems and infrastructure. And, that was real clear. So that's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Porter.
And that was essentially my question too. So
Yeah.
basically, I just wanted to know whether the money needs to be allocated for $10,000 for each of the next 3 years, or if there was a way to allocate money for 1 year with the idea that we would be building something and looking and seeing how it develops. So there's probably a rationale for why it would need to be the same amount of money over the next 3 years. Stability, forecasting funding, those different reasons, but I just wanted to see what that was.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to echo, having sat on that committee, I mean, that was one of, Porter hit the nail on the head. We wanted to see systems and processes in place to help, the local farm community, but more importantly, to put an affordable option of food on the table. And having visited hundreds, I will say, of different farmers markets throughout the country, it's never the most cost-effective place to buy food. It's not where those that are facing food insecurities are shopping. So is there a mechanism, is there a plan in place to address that? If so, that would be, I think it's phenomenal.
Okay. Sarah, you want to answer that one? I see your hand up.
Yeah, I would deeply disagree about the cost effectiveness of local shopping at farmers markets. You all know the statistic about a dollar spent locally is 3 times more effective that in a community, it goes 3 times further spend at a box store similarly. I think that farmers markets are infrastructure that create, that close gaps for food to get directly into the hands of local people. And there are all sorts of programs, like WIC and Farm to Family and EBT and things like that, that make it very cost effective. And in fact, last year, we had programs through NOFA that tripled EBT dollars for anyone shopping at a farmer's market. And that money went directly into the hands of farmers. So I feel like these are systems that put food in the hands of locals and money in the hands of farmers. And the farmers market particularly is a place that farmers can access a point to sell their things without infrastructure that they have to buy on their own. This is a low barrier of entry for them to be able to sell their things. It's a really big deal for a community. And for example, Shelburne, that market was almost dead after COVID. No farmers felt like it was safe to be there. And as a vendor, I saw about 7 farms total when I was joining Shelburne. Now it has a great reputation, and we have 20 farms at Shelburne, or 20 spaces that are filled by farms. Some of them have 3 booths and they're, very local, hyper local. And how much they make versus a wholesale account with a restaurant, for example, how much they make at market makes all the difference to their bottom line, and then also with these programs like Crop Cash, EBT, WIC, Farm to Family, and these other programs, like we'll have WIC distribution centers at Shelburne Market this year, and nutritional programs. So for me, I don't understand how it could not be structures that create food security and security for farmers. I feel like that's exactly what farmers markets exist to be.
Okay.
So, Sarah, I have a really quick question. How does the EBT funds, how does that work in the farmers market? Do they just get tokens? And then how does the funds go from that to the local farmers or the vendor?
You can choose how you handle that, but essentially you get a through the Department of Children and Family Services, you get an account that allows you, and it'll probably have to go through my Social Security account, that allows you to run things on everybody's EBT on a swiper card. Then the government reimburses us, so we sort of act like the bank for a month or so while the customers are swiping their cards and using the programs. We pay out the tokens and the government reimburses. That makes sense. So there's different state level and USDA level reimbursements that are going to be coming, and one's from the Department of DCFS, the Children and Family Services, like WIC.
So to follow up on Porter's question, half of Ian was saying, half of it of the 10 goes to the manager, and I realize you need to get paid, and then another quarter of that goes to the face painted musicians.
Yeah.
Does any go to, if you had 5 or 6, 7, I can name off 3 or 4 farmers markets or people that are running out of their house, or Full Billy Farm over in Hardscrabble, the Rolos up here. Do they get a stipend for their upfront costs, putting it in the ground and hoping it doesn't get fully washed down the stream, and growing vegetables? Do they get an upfront cost of any money from farmers markets out of this 10 grand? Would they get any cost?
No, I mean, it wasn't designed that way, but that's not to say that we can't look at that. It's mainly just providing a location for them to sell. And Porter had a question in terms of, have we spoken to farmers? We've already had maybe 4 or 5 local farmers reach out to us who were vendors last year or who are interested in being vendors this year. We're getting a lot of people returning and new interest, wondering if we're doing it this year. And we're a little bit behind just because we were hiring a person to manage this, but we do, the interest is there. Everyone, I think, who came last year and were vendors are interested again. So we're hoping to wrap that up.
And how many times is this gonna be spread out over? I mean, I know it's Monday nights starting.
How many markets?
Yeah, how many
There'll
markets?
be 17.
There's 17.
There was 19 scheduled last year, but due to weather, a great number of them.
It
had
did
to be
say it
canceled.
rained quite a lot
Yes,
last year.
so I think more than half, or maybe it was 2/3, like there was a lot, unfortunately, and we're hoping that doesn't happen this year.
Okay, so Peter
Michelle?
texted me this morning about this, and I kind of feel the same way he does. I mean, I'm not 100% on board with this and spending the ARPA funds for this. Mostly because I'm not sure how much it benefits the most of the Bristol people. I mean, it might benefit others, the farmers markets, not just Bristol, it's more people than just Bristol. I mean, if we decide to go this route, my suggestion is that we give them the 10,000 this year and reevaluate next year. We can earmark $30,000, but I would say give them 10 this year and keep the other 20 here and reevaluate next spring, or next whatever.
Yeah, cycle.
To see how we're doing, because I don't want to give $30,000 and then I have to go belly up.
Yeah,
You
which
know, and
was part of the discussions we
Yeah.
had last year in terms of the $1,000 that the town gave out of ARPA funds to supplement the grant funding.
Right.
That was always the discussion. I think it would just be a buy, I think you brought it up in terms of buy each year, evaluate. And if the market is fantastic under Sarah's management and next year that budget changes, obviously the Corps can come back and say, this is our budget now, or we don't even need the money because it's been so successful. You know, I think a lot of different things can happen as we build it up, or as Corps builds it up.
Does Porter still have her hand up again, or she?
Porter, do you have another question for us?
I do. I wanted to echo, Joel, what you said. We actually, at the ARPA committee, we talked about initially whether we could do something literally for farmers. If there was a way we could use ARPA money to help farmers invest in systems that would support their own infrastructure and getting their food into local markets. So to the extent that, you know, any of this money is something that Sarah can see being leveraged to, you know, if a farmer says, well, I would come to the market if I had, you know, a cooler or a trailer, or like, you know, like, I think that would be very much in keeping with what we were hoping to see the money for. And I like kind of the direction it sounds like the select board is going, is saying, I mean, like, it's really exciting hearing Sarah talk about what's happened in Shelburne, and I think we all really want to see that happen here. And if we can, you know, leverage some of that experience that she brings, and her connections and her excitement, and then also tie that into, you know, the food community that we already have here. I'm sure if it hasn't happened already, that, you know, Taylor and Ian will be helping to make sure that Sarah's connected with the Have a Heart Food Shelf and the efforts that they're doing with Grow a Row, you know, so that it can be more of a, just not like a one-off 17 things in the summer that might feel too high priced for people who are food insecure, you know, and they might not feel like that's their community, and so that they learn about it, are invited to it, and see it as a way that, you know, that they can access quality food at an affordable price, and also have fun and be part of that community too. So I think there's a real opportunity for win-win here, and I appreciate you listening to our concerns and helping sculpt the use of the money in a way that's consistent with what the ARPA committee had in mind.
Okay, thank you, Porter.
I just have one quick, Chris. So my only other minor concern is, and again, it's more budgetary, that a quarter of the money is going to entertainment. It goes against what our goal and purpose, I mean, I get it, the entertainment adds to drawing people into the farmer's market. But what we envisioned was putting farmers in a position to sell to folks that could afford an affordable product. And I'm not certain how face painting and a musician, yes, it adds to the carnival environment, I get it, but it doesn't meet what the vision we had was, and me personally. So that's my only 2 cents on that.
Like I said, I've had people say to me last year, was it really a farmer's market or more of a carnival? You know, you try to go down and buy some corn or potatoes or whatever, tomatoes, and
But it might be important in the beginning, because what we're trying to get people to do is get a habit of, like, on Mondays, you go to the farmer's market and you're not used to doing it. So like, if you have kids and there's somebody painting faces, like, you might go and then start buying things, and then maybe it becomes more of a habit. Because if we don't have customers, the farmers aren't going to keep coming, you know, so it's one of those, that's why I like doing, yeah, that's why I like doing this year by year, is that we could then see, like, was that useful money or was that wasted money? You know, did that actually increase traffic and increase sales? And now the farmers are like all in, or was it a waste?
it's gonna be hard to quantitate.
Fun, but you know, well, we'll know if it's successful, I guess, if they have enough customers.
Is there any way to track how many people actually come?
I mean, you can do manual head
Yeah,
counts per,
there's no other.
I mean, there is, but it's money.
Well, yeah, no.
Right. Okay. Any other questions for the board?
I guess I have one, I mean, because I'm on core, I'm in an unusual position where I'm supporting this, but I'm also on the select board. I guess as far as I remember, this has been the most discussed budgetary item for ARPA. And, you know, nothing has been discussed more. And I have a little bit of frustration because as I look at the report to the select board from the ARPA committee, it says, resume farmers market and other support for small local producers to reach residents. That's it. There's nothing else in the report detailing about what was required by the ARPA committee. And so I feel a little bit frustrated where I have Porter and I have Chris sort of giving me more detail than what's in the report that you gave the select board about that. And so if there is more, we'd love to hear it. Like, we took it on because it was something that Alicia wanted to do. Alicia became the director of Bristol Core, so Core took it on, no one else did. But I feel like if you have more commentary on it, like, please tell us to help us do the market, and not perhaps in the discussion of just the budgetary discussion of it. So I'm a little bit frustrated by that, because there's no other detail about it. And I did attend a lot of the meetings, and maybe I missed obviously some of those discussions. So that's all I have to say.
Okay. Any other comments?
There are
Taylor?
comments in the
Yeah.
chat.
Okay, we'll get to the chat in a minute. Taylor, go ahead.
I just wanted to, I know one of the big frustrations is the lack of farms from last year. And I just want to bring back one of the issues we ran into is that because of like the planning and like getting it off the ground, we, in order for farmers to participate in farmers market, they have to plan for the farmers market. They have to like buy their crops and buy their seeds last month. So us not last year, when we didn't have it launched and ready to go, we launched it quite late. So no one was prepared to join our market because they didn't know what was happening. Not only did they not know if it was going to be a reliable market, they didn't know, so they weren't able to plan their crops around it. So the couple of farmers that we had attending were those that like didn't really have any other outlet for their farms. They were kind of new and they were trying to get their name out. But that's one of the big barriers to having farms. So now that we've had a farmers market last year, now people know that it's going to happen. We have more farmers interested because they can like, and they're asking Ian now, they're asking the Core now about it so that they can buy their crops and buy their seeds to plan to come. Because if they don't have enough seeds in order to have what's in the ground so they can sell to their CSAs or sell at their like little farm stand and the farmers market, then they can't come to the farmers market. One thing has to end. So everyone wants the farmers market to have a lot of farms, but I think also like it's important to remember that as we get it going, like the goal is for there to be a lot of farms, but we need the like support to get there so that farmers want to come and that we can make it happen.
Okay.
Can I ask Taylor a follow-up question?
Sure. Okay.
Taylor, are you making an argument that that the funding shouldn't be year by year, that will make farmers uncertain about whether they're going to have the farmers market each year? Or are you just saying we need to invest in it, but we could do it year by year and still get the farmers to plan ahead?
I'm just saying we can invest in it. I think a year by year is a reasonable ask because like Ian said, maybe next year we're going to be like, oh my God, no, we made tons of money or we had lots of grants, so we don't need as much funding and we're good.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood you.
It's something that I feel like was brought up in a lot of different conversations about like, well, was it even a farmer's market or was it carnival? Like there wasn't any farms. And I think just like bringing it back to the fact that like without the, like, we're getting going basically. And like, we want there to be more farms. The goal is local food, but as we get going, we need to have like the awkward year to start with, unfortunately.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood you.
Thank you. Any more questions before we get into the chats? You got a few chats?
The chats were just Sarah.
Sarah,
Getting some information.
getting some information.
And also, I think Porter made a comment about erasing the stigma of.
Can I see
Right.
Porter's chat?
No, Porter said there's a lot of volunteers at the food shelf.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
yeah, connecting with the food shelf, which we're already looking at, yeah.
Okay. Alrighty.
Sounds like we talked ourselves.
We
into
talked at this.
something.
What do we want to do? What's your pleasure? I'd entertain a motion. Something?
I'll make a motion that we allocate $10,000 this year and then reevaluate next year.
And I second.
There's a motion, a second to allocate $10,000 for this year and reevaluate for 2025. Okay, is that what you're, any more comments on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Abstained?
Do you want to add either an amendment, you just voted on it, or a second motion about earmarking funds, the 20,000, so they don't get spent somewhere else, and so that you still have those available when you do evaluate it?
Can we just ask you to remind us?
Well, if you're gonna earmark it, that means it's reserved.
Right.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Doesn't
then,
get doubly committed.
Right.
But if we do that, that doesn't say, well, I mean, my concern with the, I don't have a problem with earmarking it, but if next year they don't need it,
Right.
then what happens to those funds? Are they still earmarked, or do we then?
Then you
But
decide.
then in the
that-
third year, they come back and say, oh, well, we need it this year.
oh, we need 20,000 in the third year, none in the second year. Because they
I
know
can
there's
amend my
20,000.
motion to.
No,
earmark
I don't,
the
I mean, the
other-
organization, I don't think Core is looking to have it earmarked. I think reevaluation each year is fine. The idea is that
Yeah.
even if we approved for 3 years, it still has to self-sustain after that. And so that's, if we can build that quicker, that's a better thing to do.
No, but I think Val's point is we don't want to spend it somewhere else. if
No, I
we
know.
earmarked it for
Yeah,
that,
no,
so.
I know.
I mean, I'm happy to amend the motion to say earmark the 20 grand, so it doesn't get spent for now.
I would entertain,
Seconded
so
again.
Michelle, you, if I hear you, I'd like
Well,
to see that.
we've already
I'd like to hear that,
voted, so.
right, so that motion to say,
Yeah, I'll
we
make a motion
earmark
that we
20,000 for
20K
possible
ARPA
discussion future years,
Then I'll second.
okay?
You got it?
Okay, all right, so we don't need to, all right, everybody,
We need to vote on that motion. though.
right, everybody okay with that amended motion?
Yes.
Hearing that
It's actually a
It's
second.
actually a
second new motion,
yeah.
okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Yes, I'll abstain. I just don't like the motion.
Thank you, Sarah and Taylor.
Thank you, Sarah, Taylor, everybody's
Thank you.
comments.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate the
I
support.
don't like that motion,
From the second motion.
that second motion.
Get it off the ground this year.
There, they know it's there now.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean we have to give it to them.
What happens with the first motion made?
It's
It's
just
the-
stands.
It was two
Okay.
motions.
Oh, okay.
We made two motions.
Yeah.
Okay. Number
Thanks,
5,
everybody.
thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Sarah,
Thank you, Sarah.
Taylor.
And welcome aboard, Sarah.
Yes.
Can you continue appointment or reappointments of town officers or representatives? May include deliberation and executive session to discuss appointments.
Hopefully folks had a chance to glance at
I
the,
didn't.
the table that was online.
I did, but I thought the bike ped committee, like Tanya and Kevin, I thought it said they didn't want to reappoint. So when I saw them in here, I was like, oh, apparently I read that wrong.
Oh, but they,
No, they do. So the cells in green are, yeses since the previous meeting, which include the 3 vacancies, or not vacancies, but the renewals on the Development Review Board. Let's see, the Bike Ped Committee of, Tanya and Kevin, they do wish to be reappointed. And correct.
Energy committee, Sally, and equipment committee.
Correct, correct. Yep.
I make a motion, we appoint those people
on the list.
On the list, yeah.
Okay.
And since then, we also learned
Hold on,
that
let me get a second.
Richard Boots
Get a
does
second there.
not want to be reappointed to the Regional Planning Commission. Personally.
Is there a second to Michelle's motion?
Second.
Jessica seconds that? Okay, so Richard,
Richard doesn't want to be reappointed
To the Regional Planning Commission delegate.
okay. Okay, all those in favor of Michelle's motion, please say aye. Opposed? Abstained? Okay.
And Cecil Foster expressed interest in being appointed to the revolving loan committee if there's a vacancy at some point. And at the moment, even though I still haven't sorted out the anomaly in the staggerings, there's not an actual vacancy.
No,
At this
actually Teresa and I are gonna meet tomorrow to go over the forms.
Okay.
So
Okay,
we've got Maple Broadband now.
That's right. Oh, that's right. Maple Broadband. Thank you
yeah,
very
we
much for
do have a
mentioning
couple of,
that.
I saw that.
We have two folks that are interested in that, Ben Scolazdra, who's on, and who is the other? Mark Gibson.
I bet. Okay.
It's
so-
Scalosdra. I don't mean to be difficult, but Scalosdra. That's okay. That's okay. It's a mouthful.
Leaves you off that, then. You don't need to, one less committee you have to go to.
I'm the one who recruited Mark.
Oh, good, okay. All right. All righty.
Now, does it matter which is the one and which one is the delegate? Because there's like the main seat and then there's one that's a delegate.
Is there a position you prefer, Ben?
No, and honestly, I'm fine with the alternate. I mean, that's okay. I don't have a preference.
Since Mark's not here, we'll throw him under the bus.
I was gonna throw you under, Ben. and say,
That's
"No,
fine.
Ben,
You
no,
can
no,
chuck
no,
me
no,
under.
no,
That's
no,
okay.
believe it's a-
You might be more active.
Okay, Ben, if you want to do it, you might be more active than Mark. Mark's done it before. He's done it for a couple of years and stepped away. But if you're able to do it as the main, that might be good.
Yeah, I would love to. Maple Broadband is I'm really fascinated by the communication district concept in general.
Yeah.
So, and I'm an engineer, so it's interesting
Take it
to
and run
me.
with it.
Yeah, so I like.
Yeah,
it.
you're slowly adding your name to a lot of the committees. I'm
know.
wondering, is there a bingo on this?
No, I try to get my way into all the different things that sort of touch engineering, even just a little bit, because I feel like that's my wheelhouse.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ben.
Okay, so I make a motion, we appoint Ben as the
Delegate.
delegate and Mark as the alternate to Maple Broadband.
Second to that?
Second.
Ian, second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Let's go on. Number 6, is there something coming up on April 8th? I haven't heard anything about it. My God.
It's bad enough my office told me to work from home, told us all to work from home.
I said, it's 3 minutes.
That's what college is, too, though.
But it's
Don't
the
come in.
chaos before and after is
Yeah.
what we have to worry about. So, as I outlined in my notes, the state has been meeting regularly since January. Or statewide officials have been meeting every
Or
other.
23 or 24?
What do you think?
State been meeting on this since 23 or 24?
24,
Jan-
yeah.
Some serious planning.
Anyway, so there's a lot of information out there statewide about the anticipated impacts of perhaps up to 250,000 visitors to the state of Vermont, particularly in the northern area of Vermont, and how that will affect emergency response, just other infrastructure capacity or lack of, or traffic and parking and injuries and things like that, sanitation. And so I summarized, I won't go through all of that stuff in my notes right now, but we had a meeting this afternoon locally here to see if we in Bristol, how prepared are we or not for this event, and to try to get a sense of what we know and what we don't know. What we do know is that as we've heard anecdotally, it does appear to be true that all accommodations are full around here, and then some. And some people are even renting out rooms or couches for visitors, and I've also heard anecdotally that people locally are having family travel from way far, not to visit, but to take advantage of the opportunity. So there's gonna be a lot of people
I got
in town.
I got a camper that sleeps 2, 300 a night.
Yeah, I mean, all of that. So,
I'm gonna eat another cookie
and
now.
it's my understanding that the schools are intending to close, or at least close early, shut down early,
Mhm.
so well, just that certainly affects the individual families, but that also means that folks will be out and about. Heavy traffic, including people coming out the spur of the moment, perhaps through the area. They hadn't really planned on it and they won't find a place to stay. The restaurants might be totally loaded. So we might find folks that are just kind of wayward, looking for a place to land. Maybe that won't happen here, but will happen elsewhere in Vermont, but anyway, those are things that we need to be on the lookout for.
Okay.
Let's see, there's the potential for increased trail and cliff hikers. And that's one of the things we talked about at our meeting this afternoon. We know that there's one event planned outside at the rec field from the Cub Scouts. We don't know if other groups might also ultimately intend to go there. We do suggest that because the restrooms aren't open yet for the season there, that the rec club might want to consider some portalettes out there, or at least one maybe, for the event. And it's my understanding that there's still an adequate supply statewide of those things, because there's probably kind of a rush on them for this event. And that there might be some attraction for folks to go up to the Bristol Cliffs. And given this time of year, the trails could be pretty muddy and slippery. And so either going up or coming down, we might find folks get injured. So the Bristol Rescue plans to have all hands on deck and their equipment ready for situations that come up. The other thing related to the Bristol Cliffs is the Mountain Terrace parking on that street. And even in the best of days, that can be a problem. So we talked about closing the Mountain Terrace to local traffic only, and putting a sign at the intersection of that street with Mountain Street. And get the word out to the locals that you guys can get through, but only the residents and their guests can park there. And
guests.
well, actually, the traffic ordinance that regulates parking specifically calls out Mountain Terrace and says that that parking is prohibited except for residents and their guests. So, so we need to make sure we inform the residents of the restrictions so that their guests don't get ticketed, or somehow put something on the windshield, guest. And the police department will be prepared to monitor that area and actually ticket folks that intentionally go around the barriers and do it anyway. Because there could be property damage as people park willy-nilly and just try to squeeze themselves in. So, and also, we didn't really talk about this at the meeting, but there could be an unintended consequence of parking situations on other streets because they're not allowed on Mountain Terrace. So that there might be some unusual parking situations on other streets nearby. Let's see. The town does not plan to arrange for portalettes in public areas such as the town green or Sycamore Park or Eagle Park, because we don't want to encourage people to camp there. And the town green, because there are so many trees, it probably won't be such a good location anyway.
So being a rec club member, the town's not gonna supply any portalettes to any of those town parks, but you expect the rec club to put some on the rec club property. I'm not
Well,
sure.
that's because
It's a suggestion.
that was the Cub Scouts are doing something.
Boy Scouts are gonna be, or Cub Scouts, yeah.
Yeah.
They've rented the
That may be
field.
the only reason why that suggestion was being made.
Because it's not town property.
But I think they can get into the Legion where they usually hold their meetings.
Okay.
They can use the bathroom.
Like the Boy Scouts?
Yeah, that's where they.
That's where they hold their meetings.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good
I
for them to
only
know.
know because my son is in that.
Okay. So that was the gist of it for this, this afternoon's meeting, unless I missed anything and somebody else can chime in or ask questions.
I mean, so the totality here is a minute and a half. That's how long it lasts. And
Universal. The full,
Bristol,
yeah.
Yeah. And then if you go up to, I know in Shelburne where my sister lives, it's like 3 minutes up there. So I think even that short distance, I think a lot of people, especially coming in, I would think.
We're gonna head north.
Yes, so we may not see as much as we
Right,
think,
right.
but I think
Saying all the
everyone here is
Milton,
obviously,
Burlington area is gonna be.
yeah,
vibrant.
very busy.
I think it's more concerned about the traveling once it's.
Yes,
done.
going through, but I mean, the people here, there's gonna be a lot of people out and about,
Right.
especially at that time.
Right.
It's a Monday, so there might be a farmer's market. So we'll see what happens.
On April 8th?
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
oh, no, that's true, that's true, phew, okay, that's true, so that's good.
Selling mud pies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but, yeah, I think. I mean, yeah, well, it's interesting with the mountain terrace thing, I hadn't thought about that, the amount of
Yeah.
people who might go up
Mhm.
to hike.
I just thinking about Mount Abe and Sunset Hill and.
Well, yeah, the rescue squad is expecting to be called up to the App Gap.
I'm sure.
At least once, from people either going up or coming down on either
Top of the
side
gap,
to
though, is
get to the
Waitsfield, thank
top.
God. Thank God. That's Waitsfield.
We do have a select board
Well,
meeting
they
that
have-
night, so we can chat about how it went.
If we can get here.
But apparently that is the squad's territory, is on this side, going
On
up
this side.
17. Yeah,
Okay.
Mhm.
they've gotten called to a lot, not lately, but
to a
motorcycle
point.
accidents and stuff.
Yeah, they're not the top, because I called them once for lady hit the guardrails with her bike and went down over,
Ooh.
and Waitsfield came, so this is our
Oh.
territory.
Gosh.
I had to go down over the mountain to call them on the phone.
Yeah, 'cause there's no
911, because I
cell.
had no cell service.
I had to do that one day when I came,
She broke her knee.
they had
all
a
smashed it
snowstorm squall. I came back over the mountain, there were people off the road everywhere.
Yeah.
And I called state police, said, oh, that's not Bristol or Starkbro, that's,
Oh, Valley.
over the mountain.
Mad River,
Yeah.
Mad River.
Okay,
Uh,
well,
rescue.
I think everybody's prepared to have all hands on deck and be
Okay.
available.
All right.
And on that score, just to be, not to add a car to the roads, I'll probably plan to zoom in on Monday.
We might all wanna do that. That might be a good
Yeah,
idea,
yeah,
actually.
I'll trade my day out for Tuesday
Yeah.
then, and I'll come
Okay.
Tuesday instead.
I'll see how bad it is.
Yeah. And it could be,
Okay.
it
By
could be
7
totally
o'clock,
lousy
Alrighty.
by
weather.
7 o'clock, I would hope most
Yeah.
people are.
So in terms of the mountain terrace closing, since I live up there, is that something that's going to be done?
I was gonna say, if that's
Or
gonna be
is that
done, don't we
something
need to
we're-
do that?
I think
Well, at least a lot of notification.
I think a
Okay.
couple of days on Front Porch
Oh,
Forum,
yeah,
Thursday and
yeah.
Friday and
And just
Saturday.
a barrier, something
Road
people can
closed.
drive around.
Okay,
Well, the question is, do we have to make that decision, or is that up to Bruce
Right,
to
that's what
decide? I mean, if we're gonna make that decision, we're not gonna meet again until April 8th.
Right, right.
We'll make that decision on April 8th. so.
You're right. Well, it would be wonderful if you, I hadn't even thought of that, but it's not a bad idea if the select board, makes a motion to, an
I mean,
official
you live there,
motion.
how do you feel about it?
Yeah,
I
is
mean,
it necessary, not necessary?
well,
What
I'm
do you
just
think?
thinking, if you're inundated with people climbing up there, they're gonna be parking everywhere. If you don't.
Yeah,
close
I
it.
think we
I
just
would think
close
so.
it
Yeah,
Yeah, I think.
Just to
close
local
it.
traffic only.
yeah,
from
For
8 in
that
the
day.
morning till
So consensus.
5 at
Yeah,
night,
here,
8 to
yeah.
5, 8 to 4, something like that.
But then we
Close
need
it.
to let.
They're not gonna go up there after 3
Yeah.
because it's already gone by, so.
But then we need to let everybody know that they need to put up some sort of thing in their car, or do we just not worry about that and just put up the barrier?
I mean, there's,
Yeah.
almost all the houses there have driveway parking.
Right.
It's
So
rare to
it's
see
an
other,
issue.
other cars parked unless it's just visiting. But yeah, I guess Front Porch Forum, I don't know, can we send a letter out to everyone who lives on that road? What's the,
Possibly, that if we can manage to do it, sure,
okay,
or door hangers or something.
just because it's an unusual thing to
Right.
do.
Right.
But you gotta walk the kids and exercise, you
Right,
could
I
hang
know.
out the door
Take
I'll
hangers.
just throw a
Every door.
newspaper or something out there. That's right, I could do
We
that.
do have to
You know all your
notify.
neighbors?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Or enlist other folks to help with
Yeah.
that.
I think
Porter
that-
has a question. in
I
a
think that
second.
would just be safety.
Porter, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, since the Boy Scouts are doing something at the rec park anyway, and school is gonna be closed that afternoon, that really would be the ideal place in town to view, and there is parking there. So if you're gonna close the road at Mountain Terrace, maybe suggest, and even when you put it on Front Porch Forum, suggest, if you're coming into town, park at the high school or the rec park and view from one of those places, because you can get pretty safely into the fields there from the parking. There's minimal crossing of streets. It would just be a much safer place. I mean, the Green Mountain Club is telling people, don't hike in the woods. You know, do
Right.
not get on the long trail. It's a terrible time to be on the trails anyway.
Exactly.
You know, I wasn't planning to say anything about the Bristol Trail Network because nobody's gonna go there. It's wooded for the most part. But there's no reason why we shouldn't just point people towards the big open fields at the edge of town where there's parking.
Yeah.
And Joel, I've already talked to Troy. I feel like the rec club will get portalets because we will.
Well, we get it about 1st of April anyway. So
Exactly.
we have one.
So.
We don't open our bathrooms only for events, so.
Right.
So, okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Porter.
Yeah, okay. Consider approval of MAUHSD application to install a banner over Mount West Street over Memorial Day weekend to honor the graduating students.
So moved.
For 1 year,
second.
right, just for just 1 year.
Right. And you want to put a timeline, you just come down?
It says
Remove no later than June 24th.
Oh, it's in her,
Yeah.
okay, I wasn't reading in the TA, I don't see anything. Okay, yeah, as a motion, is there a second?
I second.
And Jessica seconds, all those in, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, staying. Who has it? Grant application authorization requests. Addison County Regional Planning Commission for a small grant program.
As I mentioned in my notes, this might be premature because we don't actually have a proposal to suggest to you. The notice just came out and it's first come, first serve. And it's up to $10,000 and it must be spent by the end of the year. Eligible activities include to engage with consultants, engineers, architects, grant writers, or other professionals to help plan for municipal infrastructure, recreation, transportation, governance, or other planning improvements, and or provide local municipal volunteers with state training opportunities to help them fill their responsibilities as members of select boards, planning commissions, development review boards, etc.
We can't put Steve's expenses in there for our water lines, the $10,000. Come on, that's infrastructure.
Yeah,
It is.
I think we could. It's at least
Just
worth a try.
thinking. I mean, he's.
It's at least worth a
trying to
try.
help us.
Yep.
I don't know, that
Yeah.
was just the first thing that came into my brain.
Yeah. Yeah, part of what's left of my brain, as much as I want to seize on this thing, I'm also a little reluctant to take on new things that we already didn't have in the hopper. Just because of capacity. And because it's such a short timeline to commit to doing it such
Yeah.
a short, you know. And as Joel notes, we have a long list of things that we aren't getting to. So that's my little red flag. But if it's something that's already in the queue that this can help move along, this could be a good opportunity.
What about the scoping study for the post office sidewalk? Too
I
big?
don't think this would be enough. I think that scoping study from Holly Hall to the Creamery Stand sidewalk, that'll be at least a $40,000 project, because the Munsell Avenue sidewalk study was over 40,000 total.
Okay.
With grant funding.
How about number 8 here, I think, or 7, continue consideration of updated rate structure to address the corridor sewer.
But actually, we might have some action on that through the RCAP program that we were contacted about probably 2 years ago. And they haven't had the time or capacity to move that forward, but they reached out to us last month saying that they have new people and they have more time now. So they're going to take that up at no charge to the town.
Oh, how about finishing up, or we had the college was going to do, Middlebury College was going to do our sidewalk inventory.
They did.
We got that all done?
Yeah. Now, if I can only get somebody to write the RFP for me to get that sidewalk advertised.
Okay, what about, the recreation's on there, anything on the recreation side?
Right, didn't they apply for using ARPA money to do an accessibility study?
We are using our funds for the recreational design for the town parks. That's underway. In fact, we're trying to
already
schedule a
underway.
kickoff meeting for that. That's
I know.
moving forward.
Okay.
The one thing,
For the new town garage?
well, we don't own the land yet,
That's
and
true.
I think it's gonna take,
More than that. for
yeah,
sure,
we can't guarantee that we'll have everything buttoned up by the end of the year.
What about, there was discussion if with Newtown Garage, it was the reuse of the buildings over there. I know the
Yeah.
Recreation Department was interested in potential plans for that. Could money be used, sort of first kind of look at those buildings and potential for them?
That's
Something
an
like that.
interesting idea, and actually, that could support a bond vote.
Hmm.
If we could demonstrate that there's an alternative use for that site.
Yeah, because I know that Meredith and Taylor have some interesting ideas with that.
That is an interesting idea.
I do know another project that Meredith is working on, and 'cause she's, me being in the rec club board, she's going around with the VLCT insurance adjuster. While public land and the rec club land for insurance purposes. And I know you could touch base with her. I can't fill in on all of it, but I know her and I and Troy got to look at the big red, we call it, the big grandstand. We got to do some improvements there.
Right.
We
So
got
they
to
were
do,
looking for somebody to.
we got to do a
Right.
railing up the middle and new steps.
Okay.
That seems like it would work.
Yeah.
The other thought that crossed my mind is that we've applied now at least twice to VORAC for wayfinding signage.
Yeah.
And at least the 10,000 could be used for that, a portion of that initiative to at least create the imagery that
Yeah.
would then be used on signage, at a later stage.
Yeah.
Create that, go through a public process to come up with an identity. Similar, it might be along the lines of what's on the entry signs, or it might be something
Right.
different, and something that we would use on kiosks and on signage around town.
Yeah, it
A
was kinda like-
unified message,
It was like a branding.
a branding
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, and it's been used, that kind of approach has been done successfully elsewhere, like Burlington. When you're in Burlington and all their wayfinding, that beautiful sunscape on their signage. So that's the same kind of concept of branding for wayfinding.
How about,
I think that would be well within the 10,000. My only hesitancy again is it needs to be put out to bid and all that
how
stuff.
about,
and
if
dealt
you
with.
sorry, I'm sorry, I'm
It's okay.
interrupting. Is, I know it's been something that Ian's been looking for, and we tried to do it a couple of times, is bicycle racks for the Main Street areas.
Right. There are, but there's like, people want more of them, but then it's sort of figuring out
Where
how to
you
actually,
put
how to
them,
place
right?
them. Like the bank, you put out yours,
Yeah.
which is great. That helps a lot. There are two
They'll be going out next week.
on Main Street now, but yeah, it's kind of, people still need them.
Is there one in the park?
Yeah,
Two?
two on the park.
Or maybe some,
Yeah,
But I think
Do we
people
need-
requested at Shaw's or
Maybe
somewhere.
some-
right, trying to figure it
maybe
out.
some benches more. I know we walk Stowe every once in a while, we're camping up that area. And boy, for a guy who doesn't, move as fast as he used to, I love it where you can just sit down. Your wife wants to go in the store, you can go in, but you can just sit, place to
Right.
sit.
Mhm.
And then you move down on the road and,
Yeah.
maybe a few branches down through.
That'd be nice.
We just have such limited space.
We do.
Right.
I think when
We
the
do have-
restaurants use
there are
one
benches on
part
Main
of, one part of the
Well, but
sidewalk.
they're not public benches, those are the,
Right,
Private.
where I thought there would be some nice benches right in front of Holly Hall in the corner for one.
Right.
Now, there is one, but it's kind of in.
No,
And
no.
then down by Howden Hall on that green space.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure where else towards the creamy stand, but at least maybe on the post office site. But
Right, I think looking at the proposal, I think it's more to engage with consultants, engineers, architects, grant writers, or other professionals to help for them plan for infrastructure recreation. So I think it's more planning than actual like
Yeah.
actual
Buying
building.
or
So
owning.
yeah, I think whether it's the rec, if it's the rec club, I think that's the infrastructure, actually construction or reconstruction. I think the Vorak idea, taking the branding side could be interesting. And potentially looking at hiring a consultant to look at the buildings for the Public Works Department. Like, I'm happy to talk to you about both the
Yeah.
Vorak one and that one, because I was just been talking to Taylor about it.
Okay.
To see if that could be a fit and figure out
Cool.
we might be way ahead in terms of that, the public works one anyway, but the
Yeah.
branding thing could be interesting. We could pull that out of work and get something of that done.
Yeah, and I think that would be well within the 10,000, and it's not a lengthy, it shouldn't be a lengthy project.
No, just identify what we'd like to have done. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I can talk to you about that.
So that requires a letter or they don't actually have an application form that we could figure out.
Okay.
But that's some sort of memo that the select board would have to sign,
Okay.
so that we could plan for that at the next meeting then.
Okay. Well,
Ian has all our signatures.
I'd like to actually also,
don't mind.
I would like to work with the Public Works, and we've talked about, Eric has what, $2,500, $5,000 in his budget for a guardrail. Where's some of our unsafe roads that we could, just study and say, so we'd have an estimate for budgeting purposes later on,
Right.
like the upper notch. We've lost people down over that bank.
Yeah,
Right.
guardrail study.
Guardrail study.
Okay.
Would 10,000 be enough? I don't know what they
I
cost.
have no idea.
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, it would just be the study.
It'd be a
Right,
study
right,
that
just
we
study.
recommend
Prioritize.
right where they should go and.
Yeah.
and
Can we
maybe-
get some Middleborough College students to drive around our unsafe roads?
No,
Okay, all right, anything
Roads are
else?
not
do you-
unsafe.
You want a motion to apply for this grant or?
Yeah,
Or we can,
I'd make a motion
No.
to, no?
I don't know that we need it. I mean,
Yeah.
she said we gotta write a letter and sign it, so.
that we can have.
Okay, make a
motion.
motion.
My consensus.
Consensus of
Okay.
file for send a letter,
Okay,
okay,
and I'll have the letter for your signatures by the next meeting.
okay.
okay. Approve the V-Trans annual finance plan for 2024.
Yeah.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, okay.
Thank you.
Approve the V-Trans certificate of compliance for town road and bridge standards and network inventory.
So moved. Thank you.
Second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye, aye.
We're a little
Abstain.
slow on
You
that.
even know it.
Either that or Joel's going really
I know,
fast.
Joel's just motoring through this.
Review and approval of the January 29th and February 1st, February 12th, February 26th, March 4th, and March 11th, 2024 meeting minutes.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say that only the 29th and the February 1st are available.
So moved. I gave my changes.
Yeah.
Whatever
Okay. I thought
minute
those-
ones they were.
Second, so wait, which ones are?
January 29th, February 1st.
February
Yeah,
1st.
sorry about
Okay.
that.
Alright.
Best intentions.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained,
Thank you.
okay. Authorize accounts payable warrants, they're right here, and liquor or tobacco licenses. Payables are $64,742.30. And we have a liquor license for,
I'll start with
I don't know who this is, it must be Shaw's. Business address, Brockton.
Yeah, I think it was Shaw's, but I don't remember what it, Sharon told us online. I just don't remember.
do we need to sign this one for Sharon?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So we've got three, please note, motion to approve Shaw's tobacco and tobacco substitute applications.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the accounts payable and liquor or liquor and tobacco licenses. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Okay, select board roundtable. Ian, let me go start with you tonight.
Two things, wait, possibly three things. Bus shelter has been placed
I see that.
Saw that.
at Walgreens. Only
I
took
haven't seen it
only
yet.
took a year to get there. But it's there. There was a little bit of damage it received, just because a tree fell on it, but they're gonna.
Over there, not at work.
Correct. Over where it had been stored. So just unfortunately, a tree some damage, but they've come out, take a look at it. They're gonna see if they can just replace the metal piece of roof. So that's good. And they put some stone in there and they'll asphalt when, the weather becomes better. So that's nice. And then we'll probably have an actual opening ceremony or whatever they want to do, to do that. So that's good. Still working on the second bus shelter, which is the one that's more open that we were contemplating putting over by Firehouse Drive to serve the apartments over there in the business. because it's so open and because it's very windy on that particular road, the property owner has requested that maybe more work be done to try to make the bus shelter more amenable for that location. And we could do that, or we could potentially look at other bus stops that don't have infrastructure that we could use that structure in.
Which location?
Firehouse Drive.
Firehouse Drive.
Because sitting right on there, knowing that there's literally boards being ripped off the fire
sure,
station
but
because there's so much
some
wind,
wind,
are you gonna
right.
stand out there with very little
Yeah.
protection in this very open bus shelter?
Yeah.
Not that a glass one and metal can offer you that much more, but it does offer some sort of blocking. So still looking at that. So that's the bus shelter. I've reached out to someone to do the painting for the Howden Hall posts and the re-putting on of the
Finials.
Finials.
Thank you. Finials. So I'm gonna connect with him next week and just sort of walk it. He's a local person. He did the flower basket maintenance for us for Bristol Core last year. He also works for Carol Wells and does odd jobs and stuff. He lives right on Main Street, Hans. He's a good guy, so he does painting stuff. So I'm gonna look at that. So that's moving along. The sign has been trimmed and cut, ready to be put in. I have the brackets. We just wanted to finish the post off. And then the third thing was for Richard Blitz and I met with a couple people from Drive Electric VT, and we walked the town last week in the big squall. We walked down and there was this snow blowing and then it was nice and sunny. Trying to identify areas for where the electric vehicle parking or chargers could be located. We looked at Parmelo's Prince Lane first, and I've reached out to a person with them to sort of discuss potential for that. I don't know if they have the EV charging stations in other properties that they manage, so starting that discussion. We looked at where 3 Phases, which is behind the bank building, as a potential. That island right there could be a potential to put a charging station. It's where the pole is essentially.
Oh, yeah.
So putting something there very close to the pole, very inexpensive. This would be for level
You're trying to know
3.
where they put the flowers.
Correct.
The
Yeah.
flowers. I mean, the
Yeah.
only problem with that is that's supposedly a drive-through, although people. just
Right,
park there.
so I know,
It would have
so
to
there's a
stay,
drive-through, so
right.
maybe it changes. And so
Yeah,
again, it's
right.
discussion on that, but
Yeah.
very inexpensive. Well, I should say not very expensive, less expensive because the pole with 3 phases right
It's
there.
already there, yeah.
Other areas would
It might
be
require a permit amendment to their site plan.
probably, and Act 250 and all of that. So yes, but we're just starting that discussion to see if they even want to deal with that. If they do, how do they manage it? If it's, do they manage those things? Does the town at which the property sits manage those things? Stuff like that. And then we also looked at where level 2 could be on the park. We had discussed before, we were looking at the far end closest to the playground. That was something that Meredith suggested just because of the use that it gets with Harvest Festival, with food trucks and vendors sort of parking along where maybe the Bristol Park Dental is that side. So further down, there are poles there that would be able to be used with level 2 charging. So it's not 3-phase, but it's there. And you might want to trench from the pole that's on the green into the grass as opposed to go across the road. And then the final location was level 3. The potential would be right outside, right opposite here on this street, on Main Street, and it would be next to the accessible space. So having 2 spaces right in front of the trees there for level 3. You have 3-phase power, which is over by the post office. They could be run across and then down and then trenched. So maybe that's the most public facing area. It's not in front of the bandstand, so it doesn't affect sort of the aesthetics there, but allows you to put level 3 on town controlled property to be able to have that infrastructure there. And that's also the closest to the downtown. So in terms of the grant application, it'll be very positive.
You're talking about the one right across the street here.
Correct. Yeah.
On the park side.
Yeah.
On Park Street.
And that was just walking around the 2 Drive Electric folks, sort of identifying like, here it would work, here wouldn't, because we looked at the Tom and Carol Wells property, which is the old Sprout House or the Mountain Greens.
Yeah.
The cost to run 3-phase from where it sits behind the bank across there just seemed too much to do. So that's all I have. Sorry, that's a lot.
That's all right. Was there any consideration to Mount Abraham?
Not in this, because it's solely, especially the level 3, is solely focusing on downtown areas. That's where you're gonna get the grant funding, if we got it.
Do you guys remember, was it 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago? If it was 2 weeks ago, Jessica, you were here, but before, I showed you the ones that, the credit
Yeah.
one in Virgins.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now this is what goes with those. I passed that
Yeah.
around. Is that something we want on the park? Look at all that electrical
So we did discuss that,
panels.
and it would be, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And they definitely said it's sort of, it's large infrastructure, you know, we do have things already on the park, I don't wanna add more to that, but that's a discussion we would have.
Is that just for one?
There's those two of the refrigerator ones, the big, I call them commercial
Right.
refrigerators, and those, you know, I have.
But I mean, that infrastructure was for all three of them.
Those for all of those.
Whatever, yeah.
There's a lot there, right?
Yeah.
There's two big ones and
two
two
small
small
ones.
ones.
Yeah.
Let me go check.
But that's something we would consider, like, I don't wanna put something there if we need that, the Drive Electric folks said. You could either do it on perhaps the post office side, something there, and it's where it's either pole mounted. Or you bring it down and it's a box like this, and then you're running wires across. And then trenching, that lasts a little bit, but yeah. So it's something we'd have to look at. So we're gonna have Norwich EV, who did the quote
Right.
for, the initial quote for the level 2s. They'll be engaged to do the quotes for the level 3s, not necessarily having to go with them, they just provide us with a quote. And also to reach out to another, electrician or another company to be able to do another quote. So we have a good amount of information to deal with.
And I
so.
think there were two separate funding sources. And that the level 2 that had been thought of off of around School Street, that might be suitable for by the school in that parking area.
Right.
But the level 3 end out here.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you put it at the school, I mean, the school's gotta give you permission for that, because that's.
Yeah, they
town
do.
Property.
Right.
Yeah.
That's district property.
Yeah.
They gotta get.
Or the school or potentially at the hub or that kind of area
Mhm.
there. But again,
Right.
you're losing parking spaces. Here, we have a lot of parking spaces. And yes, for some events, they're used a lot, but most of the time,
Mhm.
they're open. So, yeah, but yeah, ongoing discussions. So
Okay.
we're slowly getting there.
Mhm.
Michelle,
I think I'm good.
Jessica?
Nothing new. I mean, I emailed Valerie a couple of questions, but just still figuring out
Okay.
what's going on.
Library trustee
Right.
stuff.
Okay, I just have a couple of things. One, Bruce, is for you. I see you're still on. I get people asking me who live in the village. They say they seem to see a lot of people running stop signs now, not just cruising through. And so just something for you, Bruce, to keep your eye on. I know the guys are out there, so you can't be everywhere. And then I'd like to have this as an agenda item, maybe 4 to 6 weeks from now. I was wondering about, because this meeting is pretty quick, just over 2 hours. But when we get into budget season, they can get long, and then department heads here, and we sometimes see Eric here falling asleep because he wants to go home. I was wondering if we do department head, I'll call it the first meeting of the month, public safety meeting. Fire, Bruce with police, Brett with fire, and Eric with public works, and they'll give us their department head meeting. And then the next meeting,
The second meeting of the
the
month.
second meeting of the month will be library, Sharon, just a thought, I just had.
Sure.
Maybe shorten up the meeting, so they don't have to come every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They can just give us I want you guys' thoughts on it in a couple of weeks, mail it over, and what do you think? And,
Yeah.
Fine with me.
Yeah, if that was organized a bit better, I think that benefits everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So
I
they
mean,
know,
if somebody has something they need to get in before then,
They
they
can
can
go.
always email Val or.
right,
Jump in.
right, exactly, but just a
Or submit
thought.
written reports like Brett does.
Yeah, or written report like Brett does, yeah, so just my thought, and that's all I had.
I mean, Eric's report tonight was snow, so.
Yeah.
Streetlights.
It's
And
really-
speaking of streetlights, do you mind if I call the governor's hotline and say, we've dealt with that light up on the bridge, Michelle, for 5 years
Oh, no,
now?
we got an email that said, remember that he responded and said, now that the weather's nice. And I swear he said, we're gonna put the pole back up.
I saw that.
And I was like,
Okay, I won't rattle the cage.
Another one to be out. Hooray!
I won't rattle the cage.
6 instead of
Yeah,
5.
so they got it on the calendar.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know when, but
I've
This spring.
called the district guy here that I know very well and say, come on.
yeah, Dan's in on that,
Yeah.
that email chain, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Valerie,
don't
tell me.
rattle them too much.
Okay, I won't say a word. Town administrators report.
I
Any more
do
to
not
add?
have anything really to add to my written report, just to draw attention to the hazard mitigation plan update that's underway. Had a very good meeting with the Basin Street property owners.
I saw that. How did that go?
It went very well, and the recording's available if anybody wants to see it. And in fact, I had a very productive meeting with one of the property owners this afternoon. She happened to be in town, and we went through a lot of the details of the plan, and it was a good opportunity to be able to do that.
Was she on the Zoom meeting? Or
She
no?
was not able to make
Okay,
the Zoom
got it.
meeting, so we covered a lot of but she was able to watch the recording and had some questions, so that was good. And just in terms of other business and correspondence, where is it here? Budget status report, fireworks display permit, was signed off on by departments, and that's about it.
Okay. Any other business good for the order? Correspondence reports or correspondence received?
I just kind of hit some of the highlights there.
I'd entertain a motion to adjourn then.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's a second. from
You were
Jessica.
getting so lucky.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Nobody could abstain on that one. Okay,
Great.
we are done.
Thank you, everyone.
12.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Jill.
Thanks, Jill. Thanks,
Thank you,
Ben.
everybody. Good
Thanks,
night.
guys.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you,
Good night,
Jimmy.
Jimmy. Thank you for
I
coming.
always love your comments, Jimmy. I do.
Yeah, you're easing into this very well, these times. Just